Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be, I think, a pretty exciting video for some of you and a very helpful video also because it's been highly requested. Why is it going to be exciting is because one, it's going to be on Dermacol. Two, because I'm going to break down the shades for you. I'm going to help you pick out your shades, and I'm also going to make a reference to Estee Lauder Double foundation. And three, I'm gonna answer some frequent asked questions about how to apply it, how to make it work, because I know a lot of people sometimes struggle with that, so I'm gonna help you with that a little more. So if you're interested, then just please keep on watching. Okay, so first things first, ever since I did my Dermacol review, 98% of the people asked me, how do I find my shade? Can you please help me find my shade? What shade am I? I get it, it's pretty frustrating to look online and try to determine what shade you are. You cannot find this foundation, at least in the UK. You cannot find it in a store, so it's kind of difficult to match yourself online or what other people say, or you know, it's a little bit difficult. Okay, so I have here almost all the shades. There are 13 shades in total. I have 11 only because when I got mine, two shades were out of stock, or no, one of the shade was out of stock and then the other had a 3-week delivery thing, so I couldn't get it, so I decided not to get it. So I have all the other 11 shades, but it's not gonna be a problem. Okay, now the thing with this foundation, shade-wise, is that when you see the shades online, they're kind of confusing, because with other foundations that have numbers, you basically start from the lowest to the highest, and then you have an order through which it goes. But it's not the case here. Even though it starts from 207 and it goes up to 224, I think. Yeah, it goes to 224. It doesn't necessarily come in the same order. Now, another thing with it is that the shades are mostly cool. So that, I think this is the part that confuses people, because they see a lot of shades. Most of the shades are kind of for light to medium skin tones, and a lot of people get confused because they see all these shades, they see a lot of choices, and they don't know what to pick. But actually it's quite easy, because the basic shades that work for everybody, for most people, are the warm tones or the neutral tones. I'm going to talk about Dermacol on its own, and then I'm going to make a reference to some of the shades in Double Wear from Estee Lauder, so you can have an idea. So if you are, the lightest shade in the range is actually 208, not 207. 208 is a warm tone and is quite suitable for fair. I am quite fair. I'm a NC 1520 and I use 210, which is the perfect shade for me. So if you are lighter than that, obviously 208, and your warm tone, obviously 208 is going to be the perfect shade for you. 207 is quite, it's light, but it's very pink. So obviously if you're very cool and light, that will be the shade for you. I think a very universal shade out of this foundation is 210. This is what I use, this is what a lot of people use, because it covers a wider range of tones and colors, which I think is a more universal skin tone when it comes to light skin. If you are quite fair, usually like neutral or beige, or you know, light but not super light, 210 is going to be the perfect match for you. If you are a little bit darker than that, definitely, and again, no, warm toned, definitely go for 218. It's just another warm tone that is, again, more universal for somebody with warm, lighter skin. If you are a little bit tanner or darker than that, and you have warm undertones, definitely go for 222, which is again another warm tone out of the range. And if you are a little bit darker than that and also warm, definitely go for 223. This is warm, but it's a more neutral warm. It's definitely more, yeah, it's definitely more on the neutral side than on necessarily on super warm side. Not that the others are very warm, because most of them are kind of like warm neutral, but this but 223 is definitely more towards neutral undertone. Okay, and the rest of the I find that the rest of the shades that are pink tone are a little bit less used, because they're quite pink and you have to have like a super cool undertone to work with. But as I said, 207 is the lightest. Then you can go for 29, which is again kind of light, but then 211, 212 and 213 are quite similar. There's not really a big difference in them. Maybe 213 is a tad darker than 211 and 212, but again, not a big difference. And out of all these three, the 212 is the pinkest out of all. Then you have 215, which is darker than the ones I've just mentioned. 221, I don't have that one, but that is also kind of a little bit pink toned, but more on the neutral side. And then you have 224. 224 is the darkest of them all, and it's more of an auburn type of shade. It's not very dark, but it's more on the brown auburn undertone of it. So yeah, it's not very pink, but more of that kind of undertone, if that makes sense. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a reference from some of the popular shades in Estee Lauder Double wear. So I've picked out Ivory Nude, which would be, I think, a perfect match for 208, because Ivory Nude is also kind of warm and light, so I think 208 is going to be the perfect match for that. Well, obviously not perfect, but closest. Then we have Ecru, or sorry, I don't want to pronounce it badly. Ecru is gonna be good for 209. It's again in Double wear is a little bit warmer. In Dermacol is definitely a little bit cooler, but from what I've seen, the shades come close in like the color. So definitely keep in mind that Dermacol is gonna be a tad cooler than that. Now, I've matched the 210. I've matched it with Fresco. I think it comes close to the perfect match from the Estee Lauder. Fresco might be the tiniest bit darker, just like 5% darker than 210, but I think is the closest match out of them all is, yeah, it's Fresco. Then I have Bone. Bone is quite cooler and it looks very similar with 207, definitely. Then we have Pebble, which is a very close match to 222, which is again one of the warm shades. So if you're a little bit tan or you have a darker skin tone just a little bit, then 222 is going to be the perfect match for you. Then we have Warm Vanilla. Again, Warm Vanilla, I've matched it to 210. It's a little bit warm, obviously, it's a little bit warmer than Fresco, but again, you can work with it. So if you are Fresco or if you are Warm Vanilla, then definitely go for 210 in Dermacol, because it's gonna match somehow. Then we have Cool Cream. Obviously, it's cool. I've matched it with 213. And that's that. Nothing more to say about that. Then we have Auburn. So Auburn in Double wear is definitely the 224 in Dermacol, which is their darkest shade. And then last but not least, we have Pure Beige, which again I've matched it with 222. Pure Beige is a little bit cooler. No, it's not. No, it's not cooler. It's just a little bit lighter than Pebble. So if you are Pebble or Pure Beige in double wear, definitely go for 222 and you can easily work with it. I'm gonna swatch them also for you, and I'm gonna show you how they look on my skin so you can tell. I think I'm gonna do that at the end. Very, very excited. But now I want to cover a little bit, because I know, you know, it's obviously what works for me doesn't work for you, or what works for you may not work for me. It's very real, because we have different skin types, we have, you know, different skin colors. You know, your body may not react the way my body does to it. It's perfectly natural for it. You know, even if I love something a lot, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you necessarily, though it's a good product. But ever since I got mine, and ever since I did that video, I've been using mine non-stop without any exception. I haven't touched any other foundation. This is how much I love it and how obsessed I am with it, and I use it on everybody and it looks absolutely perfect and flawless. But I know some people, because I've recommended it to a lot of people got it, a lot of people love it, and a lot of people have trouble with it. And I think one of the reasons that people have trouble with it is that they don't apply it correctly. First tip that I can give you is definitely apply a very small amount, because it's very pigmented, the consistency is very different, it's very creamy, it's different than your normal liquid foundation. So when you apply it, just apply a pea-sized amount. Apply that, use your finger to like halfen that quantity, dab it all over your face and blend that in. Personally, I like to use a brush. I use a brush to blend it all in my skin. And after I blend it in with a brush, I always take a damp beauty sponge and go all over my face. And I take time when I do this. I take time because I want my sponge to absorb all the excess product, or if you may have brush strokes or whatever, you just want to take your time with this, take your time and blend and press that sponge into your skin so that the foundation is obviously pressed in the skin and blended, and any type of excess is gonna be picked up, and your skin is gonna look absolutely flawless and still with great high coverage. Another thing that might go wrong is when you set it. You need to and also you need to find a good primer that works with it. I usually have a smoothing primer works for me when I pair it up with this foundation. I've been using like smoothing type of primers ever since and worked beautifully. Now, when you want to set it, you're gonna need a good powder, not necessarily for this foundation, but for any foundation, because with powders, if it's not good and you add it on top, it may make your face look very, very cakey, very heavy and creasy, and I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking about. We've all been there with bad powders. The powder that I found that works perfectly with this foundation and for me and with anything is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. Now, you can use this in every color you need. I use mine in Light Plus or in Light, and it works absolutely beautifully. It looks just like skin. It gives you a really nice coverage, but subtle. It sets the foundation, it doesn't crease, it doesn't add weight to your face. It's absolutely beautiful. Currently, I have been out of it and I desperately need to get a new one, but I have been using the powders from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. You have your white powder and then you have the banana powder. I've been using the white powder for underneath the eyes and used the banana powder for all over, and it works beautifully. I still have to say I do prefer my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish before the shades in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, but they work and they're not bad. They definitely don't add weight, they don't look bad or anything like that. I just find that with them you do have a little bit of creasing underneath your eye, a little bit, just the tiniest bit, but nothing more dramatic. If I do crease a little bit, I just like dab my fingers 2 times and then I'm good to go, and it looks perfectly. Another thing that may happen for some people is, especially if you have oily skin, is to get very oily during the day. If that is the case for you and you can't control that with a setting powder, definitely the foundation is not for you. I'm normal to dry. Now I'm kind of normal. Sorry, my camera just stopped, but as I was saying, I am quite normal these days. And sometimes I do get tiniest bit of tiniest bit of shine on my chin and here. I don't know why. These two, over the cupid's bow and on my chin. But I just, with a tissue or with my hand, I just dab it once and I'm good to go. I don't need to add powder. I don't need to do anything. I just basically just dab it. Just use a tissue and dab it lightly, and it won't affect your foundation, won't affect your look, it won't affect anything. It will just get a little bit of oil off and it's absolutely no problem. So yeah, now I have swatched them for you. This is how they look. So as I was saying, this is 207, this is 209, this is 210. As you can see, there's a big difference there. This is 211, this is 212, and this is 213. As you can see, they look very, very similar. Then you have 215, which is quite darker than the rest, but also very cool tone. Then you have 222, no, this is 218, which is again another beautiful warm shade. Then you have 222, which is a darker but warm shade. And then you have 223 and 224. 223, which is kind of neutral but darker, and then you have a more auburn, sorry, my pronunciation is terrible, a more auburn kind of shade, which is also their darkest shade. And keep in mind that 28 is going to be here, and it's going to be the lightest and quite warm toned compared to 27, which is here and seems quite light, but as I said, it's definitely not the lightest. So yeah, this has been it. I hope this video is gonna help you find your shade, and is gonna help you with the application a little bit more, or with any other problems that you might have. I hope the reference to Double Wear is also accurate and it will help you. I try to look in it a lot so I can be as precise and accurate as I could be with it. But yeah, that's about it. As I said, I really hope that this video is gonna help all of you out there just find your shade much more easier, because I know how difficult it is to do it using pictures, or you know, what you see at other people or whatever. I know obviously that this is basically kind of the same thing because you're not there testing the product, but hopefully me explaining it to you and seeing the swatches and the reference, it might be a little bit more helpful than the rest. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you have obviously if you have any questions or feedback, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, if you really enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please give it a like. And also, if you want, share it, because it might be helpful for a lot of other people. Yeah, I hope you all have a fabulous week, a fabulous day, and I will see you next time.